What is going on, trainers? DrumVillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today we're talking about the Fossil Cup and this particular team that has served me crazy well so far this week. Now, if you guys saw my last video doing some auto rekt battles, you'll know that I actually started this season very late, and during this week I missed the first 2 weeks of battles completely, so I am still grinding up through the numbered ranks. I'm currently rank 17, so pretty soon we're getting to rank 20, getting my elo, and then making that grind towards legend rank. But with this team, apart from doing the auto rekt battles for the first 5 ranks up to rank 6, this is the team I've been using. So I've done 90 games-ish, and I've won 69 nice matches. So that's a 75% win rate with this team. And let me tell you, even though we're at the lower rankings, we're still in those, like I said, those teen rankings, and matching up against players that are in that same ranked bracket. There are a lot of meta teams that this team is coming up against. A lot of Jellicents, a lot of Ludicolos, a lot of Ferrothorns, a lot of Lucarios, and it's really holding its own against them and winning the majority of those matches. So if you guys are looking for a team to use for the last couple of days of Fossil Cup before it leaves us, maybe you're already at rank 20, maybe you're already grinding up through Ace and Veteran, let me know down below. But this might be the team for you to give a try if you're looking for something a bit different. If you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button. My name is DrumVillain, thanks for checking me out. If you like the content, be sure to hit the like button, and let's take a look at today's team. On the lead for this squad, we're bringing Araquanid. Araquanid's a really strong, bulky, versatile choice. Fairly new release. Jupiter was only released a short while ago, but it resists the water moves, resists the ground moves from things like Swampert, and Whiscash resists fighting moves from things like Lucario and Cavalier, so it's got great coverage across the board. And even in its worst matchups, it's able to put some serious work in thanks to its bulk and the relentless bug bite damage. In the back, we're bringing Lucario. Lucario, you've probably seen other content creators trying it at this point. It's super strong in this meta, being super effective against rock and steel type Pokemon. It's immense for damage output even in neutral matchups, but you do need to save some shields for it because it is very glassy. And the Shadow Ball one-shot potential from this thing is fantastic. And rounding out the squad, we've got Shadow Politoed. You can bring a regular Politoed if you wish, and this one does have the legacy move of Earthquake. You can opt for Blizzard for better coverage against things like Pelipper, but honestly I like it with Weather Ball and Earthquake. But you can opt for the regular, you can opt for Blizzard, it's entirely down to preference, but this thing is an absolute beast as well for the spammy moveset and relentless Weather Ball damage. So that's the squad. Let's take a look at how it actually plays out in some real matchups. So first matchup, we've got a Swampert lead, and we've said Araquanid absolutely fantastic for dealing with Swampert, especially if they're running Earthquake and not Sludge Wave, but even still, it's still a very positive matchup for Araquanid. The opponent opts to swap straight out into a Registeel, which again, very versatile, aggressive choice in this meta. It can hit things very hard. That Zap Cannon damage there to one-shot any water types, the Focus Blast for one-shotting steel and rock types, but Lucario is able to shield once and just farm that thing down. So if the Swampert comes back in, we can throw a Shadow Ball at it. They actually have their own Araquanid that they bring in, which will be resisting our counter damage. Because we got so much energy, we're just going to be opting straight for those Shadow Balls and pressure them to actually throw some energy at us, take us out. Otherwise, we're just going to check for Shadow Ball spam. We don't mind, we're not here to bait. We get a shield out of the Swampert that they swap back into, we can bring in Araquanid. The opponent realizes there's not much they can do in this situation, and they're going to surrender. GG. Their Araquanid would have been able to put some serious work in against our Politoed if they'd have played that match out, but I do think it still would have gone in our favour for sure because we had such a dramatic advantage by that point. Next matchup, we've got a Magcargo on the lead, and you might think, well, this is obviously a very good matchup for a water type like Araquanid, but of course those fire type moves are actually hitting for neutral because we're part bug type. The Bubble Beam that we can throw is actually not a very strong move at all, so they can survive that. And they do have access to rock moves, although this Magcargo opts to throw an Overheat and dip out, which I was a little bit surprised by. Most of them just opt to throw, I believe it's Rock Tomb that it recently got access to, but we're not too stressed about it either way because we know we can survive at least one, even if they're not debuffed, because Araquanid is just that bulky. Now this opponent opts to swap out into Pelipper, and honestly Pelipper might be the biggest threat as a safe swap to this team because we just do not have that good of an answer to it. So we opt to stay in with Araquanid, throw the Bug Buzz for big damage. Even though it's resisted, Pelipper's relatively squishy and that move does hit pretty hard. And we're going to bring in Politoed and just try and finish them off. We might be going for an aggressive Mud Shot down here since they are just throwing the Weather Ball spam. They choose to swap back out, and we're just going to start spamming these Weather Balls now because Politoed is absolutely loaded to the nines, and they've got an Excadrill in the back, which means one Weather Ball is going to absolutely definitely one-shot this poor Excadrill, and we've just got so much energy. So we get a shield, we take them out. We've still got a weather ball left to throw at this Magcargo that we're going to throw as well. Are they going to be able to, are they going to shield this? They're going to let it go. They do shield, but we might be able to get to another weather ball before they can get enough incinerators off to get enough energy for another move. This is going to take out Magcargo as well. Politoad's on an absolute rampage, so we're going to swap into Lucario and just punch down that Pelipper before it gets a chance to do anything, and that's going to be a good game. Letting a Pokemon like Politoad get that far ahead on energy can be so dangerous if some of your squad is weak to it, because that weather ball spam is not to be underestimated, especially from a Shadow. Matchup number 3, we've got a Jellicent lead, and Jellicent lead is quite common, I've found, in this meta, and you might think, well, how does your team handle it? You don't have a good answer to Jellicent, and that's true. This team doesn't have a good answer to Jellicent, but Araquanid can definitely hold its own here. And this matchup actually plays out a little bit more unusually because they're just choosing to spam the Bubble Beams straight away. And we're not too stressed about that because Bubble Beam is really not going to hit us hard at all. If they were building up to 5 hexes initially, I would have shielded because it would potentially be a Shadow Ball. Like right now, they've used 5 hexes since their last move, so it's probably the Shadow Ball. It is. That's a great shield, and we're just going to stay in and keep going for the bug buzzers. Sorry. If they actually lead Jellicent and they just go straight up to 5 hexes, they're probably going to throw Shadow Ball. Straight off the bat, I like to shield that first Shadow Ball initially and just commit that first shield early, and that means that you can then start potentially getting a defense debuff. With the Bug Buzz, you can really chip them down a little bit lower, and that put them in a low enough range where either Lucario or Politoad can handle it, just farm it down, get ahead on energy, and deal with whatever's in the back. Now, this is barely a lost matchup. And we have still gone down the shield, but that is completely fine because Jellicent honestly is just a good answer to Lucario, and it does pretty well against Politoad as well. This opponent chooses to bring in a Ludicolo, I almost called it Lucario. Ludicolo would have absolutely decimated our Politoad since we don't actually have Blizzard on that thing, so it resists all the moves. They swap out into Excadrill. We're just going to start spamming these power-up punches because look at how hard that counter hits. We're going to shield this up, and we're going to carry on putting work in on that Ludicolo with this Lucario, because even if they take us out, we want it low enough to be in a single weather ball's worth of damage, just so that they can't quite take us out that fast. But with power punch, we get the shield. We're going to choose to swap straight to Politoad and hopefully race them to a charge move, because they could have potentially farmed down Lucario, got to an energy ball and one-shotted Politoad, so we wanted that weather ball damage off fast, because at this point Ludicolo is in 1 counter's worth of damage. Punch it once, punch it twice, we just take the win. 1 HP in a dream, but that is going to be a good game. So we got a little bit of luck with the opponent choosing to bring Ludicolo into our Lucario, but honestly, what choice did they have? They had an Excadrill back there as well, so either way, Lucario was going to be able to put some serious work in against that backline once the Jellicent was out of the way. Next lead is a Lucario lead, and you'll find that a lot of Lucario leads will actually swap out of this matchup because people perceive it as a bad matchup because you're resisting the counters, but honestly I think it's a very neutral matchup because that Lucario is double resisting your fast moves, it double resists your Bug Buzz, so you have to go for Bubble Beam spam. They have the option to go for Shadow Ball, but this one's throwing Aura Sphere, which Aura Sphere is a fantastic move, but I don't think it's the move you want to throw in this situation. You definitely do want to throw Shadow Ball if you do have it on the Lucario in this matchup, but that Aura Sphere is putting some serious work in all the same. We're just going to keep spamming Bubble Beams, we're going to keep chipping them down and see what they've got in the back, hoping they don't have a good answer to our own Lucario. Once they do, and there's the Ferrothorn. We're going to build straight up for the Bug Buzz. We're just going to make it before they're able to Bullet Seed us down. This will do big damage. We'll swap into Lucario and just go for the counter down. We don't quite get it before they get a move off. We don't have to shield it. That could have been a Thunder, but it wouldn't have one-shot, so it would have been probably fine either way. And the opponent's got a Swampert in the back, and Politoad deals very, very well with Swampert. Obviously the Earthquake from a Swampert will one-shot Politoad, but you can just go for Weather Ball spam. 2 Weather Balls take out a Swampert. They can't get 2 Hydro Cannons won't quite knock you out, so you're in a slightly advantageous position. They might shield bait you with Hydro Cannon, but it's not the end of the world because it still takes them so much energy to get to the Earthquake. We almost finish off the Lucario with 1 punch as well. We're going to do it with 1 Mud Shot instead from the Politoad and take the win there as well. GG's. Roses for Rosie in game number 5. Are they going to let us get that 5-0? Registeel lead is not what Araquanid likes to see. It's probably, along with Bastiodon, the hardest answer to Araquanid in the meta, but fortunately Registeel and Bastiodon aren't that common because there are so many Swamperts, Whiscashers, Lucarios, things just floating around that absolutely wreck them. So it's a little unfortunate that we line it up with our Araquanid. We're going to safe swap Politoed rather than Lucario because we feel like they'll have a better answer for Lucario than potentially Politoed. So they meet our Politoed with Swampert, which, as we've said, isn't a bad situation because we only need to land 2 weather balls. We can comfortably survive a Hydro Cannon. So we're able to take a shield advantage and take out the Swampert. We've still got half our health left. We can still spam these weather balls at this Escavalier, which definitely, that Escavalier actually is a very good answer to Lucario. So we'd done the right thing getting switch advantage. We did the right thing swapping to Politoed instead of Lucario. But now they've chosen to swap out to Registeel to catch a weather ball. We can bring Lucario in here, we can do the work, we can get this thing very, very low, and Araquanid is definitely going to be able to handle the Escavalier in the back. So this game is pretty much done. I'm going to shut up the Focus Blast because we can put some serious counter work in on Escavalier because it's so squishy, and also we still have a shield. We could probably shield this and make it to a Shadow Ball and just finish them straight off if we want to. We're going to opt for the Power Up Punch though, the safer option, because I believe I'd lost count of how many counters they'd actually thrown. Didn't want them to sneak in an extra draw run before I got to a move and then potentially get caught off guard there. But that's going to give us a 5-0 set with this team. And like I said, I had quite a few 5-0 sets running this line because a 75% win rate, you're just going to end up with them lined up like that. Plus we get a Lickitung for our trouble, which we definitely can't complain with because I am still working on the XL candies for an XL Lickitung. For Great League, that thing is just too broken in general. Matchup number 6, and we're talking about a Poliwrath lead. And again, I take this as a very positive lead for Araquanid because no matter what moveset this Poliwrath is running, whether it's Ice Punch, Dynamic Punch, Scald, you're resisting all those moves. If they're running Mud Shot or Rock Smash as a fast move, you're resisting that as well. So it's a very, very hard punish to Poliwrath. They are resisting your moves, but those Bug Buzzers absolutely smash Poliwrath to pieces because they just hit so hard. The opponent's going to swap out into a Skarmory, which Politoed I think is a pretty decent answer for. You probably have to shield a move, especially if it's a Shadow Politoed, but we're just so spammy at this point. You can force switch advantage in this situation because you can throw so many weather balls compared to how slow they get to their Sky Attacks and Brave Birds. This opponent dramatically underestimates how fast we can get there. They're going to lose a ton of energy on the Skarmory. They must have been building up maybe to double Sky Attack or maybe even a Brave Bird and a Sky Attack. I don't know why they didn't throw, but either way, we're now in an insanely powerful position. They've got Whiscash in the back, and again, Araquanid, fantastic answer to Whiscash. You're resisting all of its moves. So why they chose to swap out to Skarmory, I have no idea. They really needed to stay in and just try and line the Skarmory up with Araquanid naturally after their lead Pokemon went down, just to get rid of it, because at this point, Araquanid can just sweep the rest of the game very, very easily. We might even win this game with 2 shields at this point because it is such an advantageous situation. It's going to go ahead and Bug Bite this Whiscash all the way down. They choose to swap out preemptively, get that Poliwrath in there. They realise they're falling behind on energy. We go for the Bug Buzz. Nice big chunk of damage. The defense falls as well to add insult to injury to this opponent. And at this point, we can shield this. Maybe we should, maybe we don't have to. We'll let it go. It's a Hydro Pump, which, again, an unusual move for a Poliwrath, but we still resist it. We can still take it. Throw the Bubble Beam, and now we can probably just fast move down. Yeah, we swap to Lucario and just counter down quickly just to get it over with a little bit faster. Good game to the opponent. If you're thinking to yourself, why did that Poliwrath have Rock Smash and not Mud Shot? Honestly, Rock Smash Poliwrath is a very strong pick in this meta because of the relentless fighting move damage. It does have a place, almost as good a place as Mud Shot Poliwrath, but personally I do prefer to still have Mud Shot on Poliwrath for this particular cup and meta, just for the extra energy generation. Next game we got an Araquanid mirror match, but this Araquanid is running Mirror Coat, whereas we're running Bug Buzz, and honestly Mirror Coat is a little bit spammier, I believe, than Bug Buzz is, but Bug Buzz just hits so much harder. You can see there the absolute monstrous difference in damage, but also they are running Infestation instead of Bug Bite as a fast move. I do recommend you run Bug Bite on your Araquanid as a fast move. Infestation is not terrible for it, but Bug Bite just puts in so much more work. You can just see the difference in that match alone, how much more damage we were putting out there. The opponent's going to swap out into Azumarill, and Araquanid does okay against Azumarill, but we want to get a different Pokemon lined up on it. We definitely don't want to bring Lucario in against this thing because the potential to be one-shot by a Poliwrath is far too high. So we're going to bring in Politoed and just start putting some work in. We can take one Poliwrath comfortably. We're not at risk of being farmed down by the bubbles, and we're just going to go for double Earthquake because we figure they might not shield this, to be honest, at all. And if they do, we don't mind, that's fine. We've now got a 2 shield advantage, and this Azumarill is rapidly getting close to single Weather Ball range anyway. So we're going to shield up the Ice Beam, and they're actually going to swap out into Araquanid and dump energy very, very quickly. Go for the combo play. Good play on their part. They're going to take out our Politoed. We don't mind losing that energy. We're just going to bring in our own Araquanid, and we're going to let this go. It's Miracle. It's not going to take us out. We're going to swap to Lucario, counter them down. This is a bit of an all over the place gameplay, but we know that the Azumarill is low enough to deal with before they get to a move. So we're going to throw a Shadow Ball, make sure we get the job done. And we have 1 shield advantage Lucario for whatever's in the back. It's going to be a Stunfisk, which you cannot make up. This is going to be a Lucario moment to shine. Lucario is going to absolutely just wreck this poor Stunfisk. The counters are doing monstrous damage, and if this is a Rock Slide, they can't get to a second one before we counter them down. And if it's an Earthquake, they definitely can't get to another move. So we can just shield up, punch down, no stress. We're going to take that win. Good game. If you find yourself in an Araquanid mirror match, just go straight for Bug Buzz. It's not worth baiting with a Bubble Beam or anything like that and getting caught out. Ludicolo lead, fantastic lead for Araquanid because Ludicolo's got so much play in general against this meta overall. That Razor Leaf damage is absolutely relentless. So you just want to build up, go straight for the Bug Buzz. If we get a shield out of them, which is great. We get the Defense Fall, also great. They're going to swap out to a Politoed, which is not a good answer to Araquanid. But also we do want to definitely keep our Politoed away from that Ludicolo because there's nothing that we can do against it. It resists the Weather Balls, it resists the Earthquakes, and that Razor Leaf damage will shred us. So we might as well bring in Politoed here and just put some work in because it doesn't matter if we lose switch advantage here against their Politoed as long as, because Lucario does well against Ludicolo as well, it's resisting the Razor Leaf damage, the counters add up pretty fast. So as long as Politoed doesn't meet it, what do we mind? So we're just going to farm down entirely with the Mud Shot after landing the Earthquake. Go for this Weather Ball here. It's not going to be enough to take them out. They are going to be able to Razor Leaf us down, but that doesn't really matter. We've got 2 shield advantage again with this team, and you'll find that happens quite a lot with just getting that much pressure from those spammy Weather Balls. It often forces shields out of opponents, so we figure it's worth shielding the Energy Ball even though it's resisted, just to see what Lucario can do in the back. Turns out they've got Excadrill. This is a very good position to be in. I'm going to counter down entirely, and we'll be able to finish off this Ludicolo, with the counters, and we're going to take that win as well. Good game. Having a team that's not double weak to grass is very, very effective in this meta because a lot of people depend on running something like a grass, like Ludicolo or like Ferrothorn, and then just getting the right alignment and causing mass havoc to opponents' teams. And with this team, that's not really a concern for you. Like we said, as long as we get the Politoed away from it, we were completely fine. Next matchup, Mawile lead, and this does depend on what fast move the Mawile runs. In general, you'll find that they're running Fire Fang, but they can also run Ice Fang, I believe, and I believe they have access to Thunder Fang as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But they definitely have access to Fire Fang and Ice Fang. Either way, I don't think it's a bad situation for Araquanid, but because it's Fire Fang, we do want to keep Lucario away from this thing. So Politoed does pretty well in this matchup as well, but we're not going to swap out, we're just going to stay in, play this out, see what the opponent chooses to do. This is a Poliwrath, it will take us out. It's another power-up punch, that's absolutely fine, going to do absolutely nothing to us. They're just throwing power-up punches, we're throwing bubble beams. Not too big of a deal. We're just kind of neutralising their gain in damage, which is completely fine. Even if we just slightly lose this matchup, we don't mind at all. We're going to choose to swap to Politoed in the last second and try and farm down entirely. We don't quite get it, but this should just be a power-up punch. We're going to let it go. Because as we've said, we've neutralised their gaining in energy with the bubble beams, which is bringing it back down. This shouldn't hit too hard. It doesn't hit very hard at all, but I do believe that they either undercharged that or lagged because there was a long pause there. But Poliwrath comes back in, so the opponent obviously is still present. Wasn't sure if they dropped out of the game. We're going to go straight for Earthquake. Boom! Big damage, and now these Weather Balls are going to be threatening. They have to shield if they want to keep this Poliwrath alive, which they're not. They're going to let it go. That's fine, but they're going in the back. It's a Ferrothorn. Why they didn't bring this straight into Politoed, I have absolutely no idea, but I am absolutely glad that they didn't. Now we can just spam some weather ball damage, start chipping them down, because all we need to do is make the job easier for Lucario to counter this thing down. We're going to be resisting those bullet seeds, we're going to be resisting the power whips, and Thunder doesn't one-shot Lucario, so we're in a very, very strong position. This game is definitely already in the bag. Just let this go, come farm down with Lucario. We'll probably win this game still with 2 shields. Actually, we're all going to have shields all across the board. We bring in Araquanid just to make them dump some more energy. That's fine, we're going to let this go. Bring in Lucario, counter down. Job's a good one. And everybody wins. Well, we win, but everybody's still got 2 shields left. That's going to be a GG. Last matchup coming up, so let me know if you guys have enjoyed the video, if you enjoy the team. And this is a bit of an unusual one, but I did think it was worth mentioning because it is an interesting way of playing it out that might not seem intuitive. Magneton lead. Magneton is awful for this team. It resists the bug moves from Araquanid, it's super effective against Araquanid and the Politoed, but we're going to swap to Politoed because the mud shots do super effective damage and our weather ball is spammier than their moves. And it will do monstrous damage because Magneton's pretty squishy. Those mud shots are adding up because they're double super effective. And Weather Ball one shot at this point now. So we're actually in a strong position with Politoed. They have to bait us with Magnet Bomb just because they know that they're going to get out spammed here. And we're going to get another Weather Ball off straight away, get the second shield. And this might be their best answer to a straight water type Magneton. It's a pretty bold lead in this meta to choose. They go for another Magnet Bomb bait. Doesn't matter. We get to the third Weather Ball. We're going to take them out, and we've got switch advantage with Politoed. Still half its health left. Yes, we're down 2 shields, but so are they. So I don't think this is a bad situation to be in. They've got Jellicent in the back, and we're going to race for the Earthquake. We're just going to make it before they get to the Shadow Ball. This is going to do huge damage. The shields are down, so they can't possibly block it. Boom! Absolutely fantastic. They're completely fine to throw a Shadow Ball now and take us out if they want, because obviously we're not going to shield. We don't have any shields. Bring in a Araquanid because we can tank the energy. They swap out to Sandslash. We've got Lucario for double super effective fighting damage. We don't throw Power Up Punch, and that's because we don't want the Jellicent gain any extra energy against us. Sandslash throws a Bulldoze, one-shots us, that's fine. Araquanid's got way too much health and bulk for this Jellicent to deal with. We don't even need to. We're going for Bug Buzz. We don't need to. Bubble Beam would be more than sufficient. This is probably a Shadow Ball. It's fine. We can survive this and probably one more, because since they're running Bubble as a fast move, there's really no fast move pressure there either. This is definitely going to take them out, and we're going to take that win against a Magneton lead of all things. Good game to the opponent. So that's 10 different leads and how I've chosen to play them with this team. And like I said, I've played 90 games and won 75% of those matches, but I cannot make a video with 90 matches. That would take forever. You guys would not want to see that. It would drag out so long. And honestly, a lot of it is just Jellicent leads, Ludicolo leads, and Swampert leads. You know, just back and forth. So that's a rough gist on how to play different leads. If you enjoyed the video, let me know down below. Let me know what you think about the team. If you subscribe to the channel, you're an absolute legend, and I will catch all you guys next time.